In the harsh winter of 1077, a striking image was etched into the chronicles of history. Emperor Henry IV, once one of Europe's most powerful rulers, stood barefoot in the snow outside the gates of a fortress, pleading for forgiveness from Pope Gregory VII. This was no mere personal feud. It was the heart of a fierce and transformative struggle between church and state. What began as a dispute over authority turned into a battle that would reshape the political and religious map of Europe for centuries to come. Today, we will talk about when the Pope and an emperor went to war. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to my channel. 10. Pope Gregory VII's reforms. In the year 1073, a man named Hildebrand of Savannah became Pope Gregory VII. From the very beginning, he made it clear that things were going to change. Gregory believed the church had become too influenced by kings and political leaders. One of his biggest missions was to stop a practice called lay investiture. This was when kings and emperors gave bishops their power, instead of the church doing it. Gregory saw this as a serious problem. To him, spiritual authority should come only from the church, not from rulers who were more focused on politics than faith. 9. Emperor Henry IV's opposition. Emperor Henry IV of the Holy Roman Empire strongly opposed Pope Gregory VI's reforms, particularly those aimed at limiting secular influence over the church, such as the prohibition of lay investiture. Henry viewed these actions as a direct challenge to his imperial authority and control over the appointment of bishops within his realm. In defiance, he convened a council of loyal bishops at Worms in 1076, where they declared Pope Gregory deposed. In retaliation, Gregory excommunicated Henry, severing him from the church and denying him the sacraments. 8. The walk to Canossa. Confronted with growing rebellion among his nobles and the destabilizing effects of his excommunication, Emperor Henry IV was compelled to seek reconciliation with Pope Gregory VII. In the harsh winter of 1077, Henry undertook a perilous journey across the snow-covered Alps to the fortress of Canossa in northern Italy, where the Pope was residing. Upon arrival, Henry stood barefoot in the snow outside the castle gates, clad in a simple woolen garment, performing an act of penance as a supplicant. 7. Renewed conflict. Although the dramatic reconciliation at Canossa temporarily restored relations between Emperor Henry IV and Pope Gregory VII, it failed to resolve the deeper power struggle between secular and ecclesiastical authority. Soon after his absolution, Henry resumed appointing bishops without papal approval, openly defying Gregory's reforms. In response, Gregory excommunicated Henry a second time, reigniting the conflict. This renewed excommunication deepened political instability within the Holy Roman Empire, sparking a civil war as rival factions aligned either with the emperor or the pope. 6. The Concordat of Worms. After nearly half a century of conflict between the Papacy and the Holy Roman Emperors, a lasting compromise was finally achieved in 1122 with the Concordat of Worms. This agreement marked the formal end of the Investiture Controversy. Under its terms, the Church retained the authority to elect bishops and abbots through canonical procedures, freed from imperial interference. However, the emperor was granted the right to be present at elections and to confer temporal secular authority upon the new bishops through a symbolic gesture, usually the granting of a scepter. 5. Legacy of the Investiture Controversy. The fierce struggle between Pope Gregory VII and Emperor Henry IV left a lasting legacy in European history. It set a powerful precedent for the ongoing tension between secular rulers and the Church, highlighting the complex challenge of balancing spiritual authority with temporal power. The Investiture Controversy demonstrated that religious and political leadership could no longer be tightly intertwined without conflict. Although the Concordat of Worms brought a formal resolution, the broader issue of church-state relations persisted for centuries, influencing major events such as the rise of national monarchies, the Reformation, and debates over the separation of church and state. 4. Strengthening papal authority. Pope Gregory VII's bold confrontation with Emperor Henry IV marked a turning point in the assertion of papal power. By excommunicating the emperor and demanding the Church's independence from secular control, Gregory demonstrated that the Pope could challenge, even humble, one of the most powerful rulers in Europe. His actions reinforced the idea that spiritual authority could stand above temporal power in matters of moral and religious governance. This shift not only strengthened the position of the papacy, but also laid the foundation for the Church's growing influence in medieval politics. 3. Influence of public opinion. The Investiture Controversy revealed the growing power of public opinion in medieval political affairs. When Emperor Henry IV was excommunicated by Pope Gregory VII, it significantly undermined his authority. Many of his nobles and subjects, fearing spiritual consequences and questioning his legitimacy, began to withdraw their support. This unrest forced Henry to seek reconciliation with the Pope, culminating in his dramatic journey to Canossa. The incident demonstrated that the Church's moral and spiritual authority could shape popular perception and influence the stability of secular rulers. In an era where divine approval was seen as essential to legitimate rule, the ability of the papacy to sway public sentiment became a powerful political tool. 2. Impact on the Holy Roman Empire. The Investiture Controversy had profound and lasting effects on the political structure of the Holy Roman Empire. The prolonged struggle between Emperor Henry IV and Pope Gregory VII, combined with recurring civil wars and excommunications, significantly weakened central imperial authority. As the emperor's power eroded, regional princes and nobles seized the opportunity to assert greater autonomy over their territories. This decentralization fractured the empire into a patchwork of semi-independent states, each with its own rulers, laws, and alliances. The fragmentation that began during this period would persist for centuries, hindering efforts at political unification and shaping the complex, divided landscape of Central Europe well into the modern era. 1. Defining church-state relations. The confrontation between Pope Gregory VII and Emperor Henry IV was not merely a personal conflict, it was a pivotal moment in the history of Western civilization. This struggle over who held the authority to appoint church officials underscored a deeper question. Should ultimate power rest with the spiritual leaders of the Church or the secular rulers of the state? The Investiture Controversy helped define the boundaries between religious and political authority, establishing a precedent for the separation of powers that would influence European governance for centuries. By challenging imperial interference in ecclesiastical matters, the Church asserted its independence and laid the groundwork for later debates on the roles of church and state in public life, law, and leadership. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.